Okay, today on the bench, we're just doing a quick comparison with the Traxxas UDR and the Losi Baja, and this is the 1/10 scale. These are the two trophy trucks that I'm running at the moment. They are different sizes. The UDR is stated as a 1/7 scale, and the Losi is a 1/10 scale. So obviously the Losi is a bit smaller than it. The Losi also is a 3S vehicle, where the UDR is a 6S vehicle. So it's got a bit more power in it. You can see the wheel sizes. UDR has bigger wheels. The Losi has slightly smaller. The Losi ones are quite a bit softer and a lot grippier. The Traxxas ones are quite hard. Not as grippy, but they still grip quite a bit. This thing will traction roll quite easily. I actually quite like the tyres on the UDR being harder. You can get like Proline Hierarchs and stuff to give them more grip. They're a lot softer, but I kind of like the harder compound because when you get it on dirt and gravel and stuff, it will slide a lot more. If it's got too much grip, it just traction rolls all over the place and it's not as fun to drive. Where the hard tyres, I think it definitely makes it more fun. This one here's got softer tyres. It still does handle quite well, but it will traction roll extremely easy, especially on any high grip surfaces. If you run this on road, it will traction roll very easily. Another thing with the softer compound tyres, they'll balloon a lot more. So this is a 3S vehicle. You can run it on 2S. I run it on 2S, and the tyres don't really balloon too much on 2S, but on 3S they grow substantially in size. Where I notice with these, I always run this on 6S. They don't balloon at all, what I've seen anyway. They've both got solid rear axles and independent front. The Losi runs 4 shocks, 2 at the front, 2 at the rear. The Traxxas runs 8 shocks. It has 4 at the front and 4 at the rear. 2 of the shocks at the front have springs, the other 2 are just dampers. Same with the rear. They both have sway bars front and back. They're both solid rear axles. The UDR has a locked rear axle, so it's a lot more tail happy. I kind of really like the way that it drives with the locked rear. This one is sort of a limited slip, sort of semi-locked. Still drives quite well. I think I'd like it more if it was locked. Easy enough to lock up if you want to. You could just put some of those gel earplug things in the diff and lock it up, but I'm just running it how it is for now. They both got amazing suspension. This one as well. They float over rough terrain. If you're running along a dirt track that's got a lot of dips and dives, you watch these things, the body basically stays flat and the wheels pump in and out underneath them. It's just like the real vehicles. These are quite scale looking vehicles. Something I noticed with the Traxxas, the motor is up underneath there that you can see. It's in this small little area in here. You can't really get a fan on it because there's not much room in between there to fit a fan in it. It's in a small little plastic container. It gets quite hot in there. I noticed after running these that the Traxxas UDR, the motor was too hot to touch. I don't really know why it hasn't cut out from being too hot. The Losi, I did add a fan to the motor. There's plenty of room in there to fit a heatsink and a fan on top of it, which is what I've done. So the motor on that was only 40 degrees Celsius at the end of my run. So no worries at all with heating. Neither of them went into thermal protection. But I did note that the UDR motor was extremely hot after running. In the Losi, because I do run, it's got the firmer system in it, and I do run smart Spectrum packs, and I run them off my DX5 Pro, so I have all the telemetry. So I do run both these trucks off the same remote. I just switch over the models when I swap between them, but the Traxxas still has the Traxxas electronics, so I don't get any telemetry. With this one I do get telemetry, so the motor temps and the ESC temps and all that come through on here, and the battery levels, so I was able to monitor all the temps while I was running. And this one, the Losi, definitely kept all its temps under control, no issue with heating at all. But like I said, I did add a fan and a heatsink to the motor in this. That doesn't come with one from the factory. I like how in the Losi, it's a bit hard to see, but in the Losi up the back up there between the two drivers, you can see the ESC and the fan. Gets really good cooling through that open cab design. The UDR, similar, it does get cooling from the back here. You can see the ESC is just mounted there, so it also gets plenty of cooling. It was cool to the touch at the end of my run as well, but yeah, the motor on the UDR got extremely hot. Handling of these two trucks, sort of similar. The UDR, being a bigger truck, definitely feels heavier when you're driving it, which kind of adds to that scale look. I kind of like the weight. The Losi, still a very scale looking vehicle. It's a lot lighter. The body on this was also a lot lighter. This is quite a thick Lexan. It's a lot heavier. I have added drywall tape and shoe goo to both of these bodies, so they are quite strong now. But from the factory, the Losi definitely has a thinner and weaker feeling body. The UDR is quite a thick Lexan. I think it would be a stronger body. The UDR is a one-piece body, where this one is a four-piece body. It's got the separate piece up here, separate in the middle, and the two rear pieces are a separate piece each, so 4 pieces, where this just comes off in the one large body piece. You do have the 2 spare functioning rear wheels on the UDR. The Losi has the one on the back, so it is a spare. You can use them in both of them. The Traxxas also has spare drive shaft up here that you can pull out and put on the vehicle as well. So if you did happen to break a drive shaft and you had tools with you, you could swap that out and put it on the vehicle as well. It's kind of cool. The UDR definitely has more ground clearance. It's a much taller vehicle. You can see under this, it is definitely lower. It squats a lot more. There's a lot less distance in between the wheel, where the UDR is quite more jacked up. They obviously drop out even more when you lift the suspension on both of them, but there is more clearance on the UDR. They both do have adjustable shock collars in there. You can wind the shock collars in and out on both of these. I haven't adjusted either of them from the factory, so this is just how they come from the factory. The Losi does have hard body details on here. That's a screw-on hard body, and same with this. On the front of the UDR, it doesn't have any of that. It's mostly just the stickers for the looks on these vehicles. They both do have driver figures on the inside, both of them. This Losi does have the light bar on the front and the rear. The UDRs that you buy these days do have light bars on them as well, but this one being the original that came out first many years ago, it didn't have the light bars then. Overall, I do like both these vehicles. They both load their batteries from the bottom. Neither of them have body pins. They're more of a scale trophy truck style driving. They're not really a vehicle you'd take to a skate park and do 30-foot jumps. I'm sure you can, and you'll probably break parts. But if you drive these on dirt tracks and grass fields and over small grass mounds and stuff, and just enjoy the scale aspect of the driving with these things, they're very fun. I have never broken apart on either of these vehicles. I have a lot of fun running them. I've got plenty of other vehicles that I can run and do 30-foot jumps and crazy stuff with, so I just use these for what they were designed, and that's more the scale off-road driving and watching the suspension move around and drifting them around in the dirt and stuff. That's kind of what these things are designed for. That's what I use them for, and they're a lot of fun doing that. As you can see, the Losi is definitely a little bit smaller than the Traxxas. Not ridiculously difference in size, but yeah, the Traxxas is definitely a bigger vehicle. I think out of the two, my favorite would probably be the UDR. I just like the way it handles, like the way it looks. It feels very solid. Don't get me wrong, I really do like the Losi as well. It handles very well. It's really fun. It only takes the one battery, so there's less batteries to buy for it, and it is a lot cheaper. The UDR is a lot more expensive, so bang for the buck, Losi for sure. But I think if I could only have one of these and money wasn't an issue, I'd take the Traxxas UDR. I think it's my favorite out of these two. Both excellent trucks. I don't think you'd be disappointed with either of them. So if you want to pick one of them up, I highly recommend both of them. If there's anything else you want to know about either of these trucks, let me know in the comments, and I can make some more videos. But this is just a quick video showing them side by side, comparing them to each other, and hope this helps.